All of those things, I'm sure announcements coming soon from the President, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. It's all at their prerogative to see where South Africa stands with regard to COVID. All right, now let's have a look at the South African Local Government Association. So they are holding its quinquennial conference this morning. It's the largest and most inclusive gathering of local government leaders, comprising of, amongst others, mayors, municipal managers, senior officials and councillors from across the country's 257 municipalities. The theme this year, consolidating the role of local government in rebuilding local communities to meet their social, economic and material needs. So this conference provides a platform to unpack the state of local governance in South Africa. Well, Sakina is in Cape Town. She'll be covering this, and let's cross over to her now to get a little bit of a preview of the conference. Good morning again, SK.
Thanks so much, Leanne, and the weather's certainly clearing up, and that augurs well for all of the discussions that are to be had here this afternoon. And a very important conference this is because of the importance of the local government sphere, and this, of course, where people actually experience government at its most intrinsic level, because this is what is delivered to them on a daily basis. Well, as taking this discussion forward from our first crossing, we're joined now by the acting president of SALGA, Councillor De Vos, and also Lance Joel, who's the COO of the South African Local Government Association. Thanks so much to both of you for joining us this morning. So, acting president, 25 years, and a lot has happened over this time, but of course it cannot be easy trying to navigate these waters and also being at the leadership side of things and trying to keep it together.
Thank you. Good morning, Sakina. Good morning to the viewers. No, it cannot be. It's a long road we're coming. And fortunate part for me, I've been there from the beginning, since it started. Having been elected again, I may go to 30 years or 30 more in local government if I complete the term. But it has been difficult. There were good times and there were bad times. And I think this term, which you are in now, we plan to make that change which we need. And we would really want to call on our councillors and our administrations in our municipalities to rise to the occasion. The perception, true or false, of local government is not good. It's not something we can be proud of. I was thinking when I came here, we made an effort as SALGA to approach political parties, even before their nomination processes, to request of them to make sure that they identify councillors or candidates which will assist us in rising to the occasion. SALGA doesn't have the right to prescribe to parties, but all we can do is to canvass that way, assist us in identifying capable councillors, women and men, who will be able to change the face of local government and the perception, but also who will stay in contact with the communities and be honest to them in dealing with the challenges they face. Whether they have achieved that, I'm not sure. The test is what will be seen through the out of the term.
And that was what I was going to pick up on, because I think that's an interesting call by SALGA to the various political parties to say, listen, can you send us capable members of your party to deal with this very important sphere of government? So the elections have come and gone. We have the councillors who have now been installed, and they've gone through the induction process by now. So as the COO of SALGA, can you talk us through that process and how it's gone?
Well, thank you very much, Sakina, and also greetings to yourself and the viewers at home. Certainly we have emerged from an election that gives us results that are quite different from what we saw in the 2016 results. But as an association of municipalities, we would have to take stock of what have we inherited in terms of a new crop of local government leaders. But importantly, over the next 3 days, we should reflect on the past and perhaps limit ourselves to the last 5 years and define what we would want to do over the next 5 years. That's the first part. The second part is to ask the question, how does SALGA as an association of municipalities, how can it assist those municipalities in executing what needs to be done over the next 5 years? So this three-day conference is going to set and lay a foundation for what should happen and how SALGA should play a role in assisting municipalities. Of course, we have, on our own assessment, have noticed that there are a large number of new councillors, and new councillors require induction. We have gone through the process of inducting these new councillors, but that was just the first phase of building the capacity of this newly elected leadership. The second phase is really to conduct more intense portfolio-based, meaning more focused training on particular areas that these councillors would be seized with. So the first 2 years of a 5-year term for new councillors is really getting up to speed with what the requirements are, what needs to be done, and what the systems and processes are that they can use to execute their electoral mandate.
Well, that one would imagine makes things very difficult, because that's half of the term. And half of the term, what you're saying is that councillors are just, starting to get into the system, into the groove of things, if you will. But you haven't quite answered my question. Have the parties, and I know there have also been many independent candidates that have come through as a result of the outcome of the elections, but have the parties heeded that call from SALGA to send more capable members to serve, if you will?
Well, as a starting point, if you assess the processes that were followed leading up to the 2021 elections, you could see a difference from what found expression in 2016. And some of it seems to be a response to trying to get the right people into the system. So you could sense that there is indeed an intent by the political parties to indeed get better people into the system. Whether we achieve that objective is the assessment that we are going through now. As I'm saying, we are going through the council induction program, and part of the induction is also to get a sense of each and every individual councillor's experience within the local government space and outside, what their qualifications are. So we would be able probably in the next few months to get a better sense of what type of capacity did we get as an outcome of the elections. So two things, perhaps a sense that some political parties did come to the table, but in order to assess whether there would be a real impact is once we have seen the picture that would unfold based on the assessment that we are conducting.
Councillor De Vos, it's obvious if you look at the state of our municipalities that something needs to change, and it does require a mindset change overall in the country. It requires a change in how we see the various spheres of government and how they work. And many people have said this over the years. You would imagine that given the importance of the local government sphere, that you would have your best, your most capable people at that level. But unfortunately, as you say, sometimes that doesn't happen. Be that as it may, people expect delivery at that level. They don't care who's there. If you're there, if you have a title, if you're earning a salary, you are expected to deliver. So just in terms of that expectation from the electorate, from the constituencies that the various councillors serve, how do you assist them as SALGA in order to rise to the occasion?
No, I think that this is a justifiable expectation. Communities doesn't bother whether parties have sent the correct ones or not. And they are not going to wait for the training and the capacitation. They need services as in yesterday, and not just services, they need quality services, consistent services. And they need to be explained if there's challenges. And I think that is the gap we might need to close, because I'm of the view that an informed community will be more understandable. If there are challenges, be honest with them. Inform them what are you trying to do and what is hampering you to be able to do that. That is my view. But I think the broader picture is, sometimes you can have the best capable leaders in that space, but if there's no resources, I don't think you will turn the perception, because we do have municipalities. We are totally, the financial situation is to a point that even, I said sometimes, we can bring the president here to be the mayor. He won't change it, because there's just no way that some municipalities can do it on their own without getting the necessary support from the other spheres of government. So we have been saying all along as SALGA, the funding formula must change. Because if we really say that local government is the front line of the spheres of government where things must happen, then that must be accompanied with the resources which are placed at municipalities. Now, there's a counter argument, the little you get, you can't even spend that well. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't take the fact away that where the services needed to be done is where the least of resources in terms of the funding formula is invested. So yes, you might need quality people to run municipalities. That is not anything we're contesting. But that quality people need to be assisted and resourced with the necessary resources to deliver those services. The number of municipalities which doesn't generate enough revenue to do even basic things are big in the country. So as SALGA, we want to stand on the view that we must deal with the funding source. The equitable share is just not enough, especially with COVID now. The equitable share must be stretched, because those people who have lost employment must also come in the system. So we have lost more income. I was in the local municipality, I'm now in the district, and I can tell you, there are honest people who really wants to do something, but the level of resources they have is not enough to be stretched. That assumption which was made when the white paper was drawn up, that municipalities would have to collect 90% of own revenue to deal with the problems, that presumption wasn't really based on facts then, because our communities are just not able to pay sometimes, some of them.
So the problem then is, it's 25 years later. At what point do we start moving towards real change? Because you can't keep talking about it. Because while we're talking about it, the infrastructure is falling apart in these municipalities. And right now, many a municipality is a shadow of its former self, and people just don't know what to do anymore. So at what point do we move from talking to doing?
Well, Sakina, I think it's an important point that you are making. 25 years later, the one thing that has remained constant is that the mandate for local government has not changed. The mandate as prescribed by the Constitution remains the same. But in order for a municipality to respond to those constitutional objectives and the constitutional mandate, we have defined 4 critical components. Firstly, have the right people. Secondly, have appropriate resources, including managing those resources. Thirdly, is having systems and processes that contributes towards planning, but also execution. And then lastly, having the necessary service delivery infrastructure new infrastructure installed, but also maintaining the existing infrastructure. Those are 4 critical elements to ensure that local government responds to the constitutional mandate. So tomorrow, for the entire day, we are focusing on those 4 areas. So we would want to unpack what type of leaders do we need, both administratively as well as politically, and what are the minimum requirements that should be put into place to get and attract the right leadership. Secondly is, how do we ensure that beyond asking for more money, how do municipalities manage the limited resources that they have, including spending appropriately and efficiently those limited resources. And thirdly, how do we ensure that we maintain the infrastructure that we have, that we also ensure that we extend services to those that continue not to have services. And then lastly, that our planning when we talk about a local space includes planning with national and provincial government. How should that unfold within the context of the district development model to ensure that across the three spheres of government, we work together in order to service our communities. Because when you go back to the mandate of local government, the 4 key mandates, the key thread going through all 4 of them is communities. It's all about communities. And therefore, we must ensure that as we emerge from this conference, that we come up with a better plan to respond to the needs of communities, not the needs of individuals within a municipality. Ultimately, the conversation should be, how do we improve the lives of our people and address the needs of communities?
So we have to wrap this up now, and we have about a minute left, Councillor De Vos. Just in terms of picking up where Lance left off, what we want to emerge with here from. Going forward, what is the message? At what point does SALGA dig in its heels and say, no, we cannot carry on like this anymore. Something needs to change, because the reality is, unless there's some drastic action, things will just continue as they have for the past 25 years.
No, thank you. I think the message from us is that we want to call upon our councillors to act in the best interest of communities and to try to do the best and to stay in touch with communities. We want to make sure that, and we want to advise that it is the best thing to do is to appoint capable administration without any interference, just to focus on employing the best we can have and keep them accountable, because we must strengthen our accountability and our oversight in municipalities, and SALGA will empower councillors to do that. So our plea is that stay in touch with the community, be honest with them, make sure we appoint the correct people in our administrations and keep them accountable. And SALGA will work hard towards in strengthening the intergovernmental relations, because municipalities alone won't be able to do that. But with other departments in other spheres of government, we may be able to change that.
Lance Joel, 30 seconds from your side. What can communities do? How do communities work with SALGA in order to ensure this?
Well, importantly, as I said earlier, is that communities find expression in all of the mandates of local government. We would want to encourage communities to become part of a municipality, because in essence they, together with the administrative and political leadership, communities are forming part of a municipality. Get involved within the local processes, including the planning processes, so that municipalities are more responsive to your needs as communities.
Well, that's where we have to leave it for now. And of course, this afternoon is when this program officially kicks off. The Honorable President Cyril Ramaphosa will be delivering the keynote address here at SALGA 2022, the national conference. And of course, there'll also be the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. She'll be speaking. The Mayor of the City of Cape Town, the host city, he'll also be in attendance, as will a whole host of esteemed guests. Well, stay tuned to SABC News, and we'll bring you more of that throughout the day. But for now, it's back to studio.